Hello, and welcome back to DevOps Quick Bites. I'm Rob Cowell, and today we're diving into something I think doesn't get talked about nearly enough: DevOps for declarative developers. That's right, clicks, not just code. Now, if you're someone who lives in Flow Builder, who tweaks validation rules, creates record types, or builds out those powerful screen flows, this one's going to be especially for you. So if that sounds good to you, stick around. So let's be honest, DevOps often sounds like it's just for the coders. With pipelines, source control, merge conflicts, etc., it's easy to think, that's not for me, I just build with clicks. But the truth is, if you're building business logic or automations in Salesforce, you're part of the software development lifecycle, and that means you need to be part of the DevOps conversation. So why are declarative builders so often left behind in DevOps? Well, the tools and processes were historically built for code. Git, CI/CD and all that jazz. But that doesn't mean that click-based changes aren't important. In fact, most Salesforce orgs rely heavily on configuration for critical functionality. So when those changes get overwritten or lost or manually reapplied, it's more than just a nuisance. It's a DevOps problem. Think about it. How many times have you had to rebuild a flow in a sandbox because it wasn't included in a deployment, or had a change go live that clobbered someone else's work? These aren't admin problems. They're DevOps problems. But here's the good news. DevOps is evolving to include declarative work. And more than that, it needs to, because sustainable high-performing Salesforce teams bring both coders and clickers into the same release process. So what does DevOps look like for you if you build declaratively? First up, version control. Now I know Git can feel intimidating, but modern tools make it much more visual. Imagine seeing your flows side by side with the last version and being able to spot exactly what changed. Not just tracking Apex, but tracking every metadata item, custom fields, page layouts, flows, you name it. That's the power of Git when it's made for Salesforce. Next, automated deployments. This is where CI/CD comes in. You don't need to write bash scripts or shell scripts of any kind, or become a Jenkins expert. What you do need is a deployment pipeline that can understand the shape of your Salesforce metadata and allow you to move those changes safely between environments with proper validation, reviews, and rollback support. Now, speaking of rollback, how often do we hear, "Oh, don't worry, we'll just fix it in production"? That's not good enough. Declarative changes deserve the same safety net that code changes get. A good DevOps process will give you the confidence to roll back if something goes wrong, whether that's a broken trigger or a buggy flow. And let's not forget collaboration. When you work with source control and pull requests, even as a declarative builder, you unlock a new level of team coordination. Your teammates can review your work, leave comments, and avoid those dreadful override scenarios. But here's the real kicker. You don't have to write a single line of code to adopt DevOps. You just need to adopt a DevOps mindset. Think visibility, think safety, think repeatability. Whether you write Apex or drag elements onto a canvas, you are building software. And that means you have every right and every reason to demand modern tooling, robust testing, and automated deployments. And if you're listening to this and thinking, well, that's a lot to take in, don't worry. Start small. Start by breaking your changes down, or by sitting down with your DevOps lead, if you have one, and asking, how can I get my flows into the release pipeline? Because you're part of that delivery process, and the more integrated your work is, the faster and safer your team will be able to ship it. So let's stop drawing that imaginary line between developers and admins. DevOps is for everyone who builds on the Salesforce platform, and that includes you. Thanks for joining me for this week's DevOps Quick Bite, and don't forget you can get notified of new episodes by clicking the subscribe and notification bell buttons below. Now, if this episode helped reframe your thinking, or if you know someone still doing change sets manually, share this with them. And if you've got questions or want to help adopt DevOps as a declarative developer, drop me a message. I'd love to hear what you're working on for your team. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, keep iterating, keep collaborating, and as always, deploy responsibly. Bye for now.